Good evening, everyone. Eric Schmidt unveils a plan for the first private space telescope. Hey, maybe he'll find the aliens finally. A list of the launches and landing Ars Technica is most excited about this year. A private equity deal shows just how far old space, as we know it, has fallen. A list of the top EU launch companies to watch for this year. And will faster, better, cheaper morph into innovative, affordable, and expedited under Jared Isaacman? This and our special guest, the space elevator guy himself, Michael Laine. From the news desk at the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, my name is Thomas Andrew Olson, and this is Quantity. Okay, obviously our show is produced and funded by the Center for Space Commerce and Finance. What do? We champion and strengthen emerging space startups and space adjacent enterprises worldwide through advisory, access, and advocacy. Our pitch events and world-class boot camps for startups fortify them to be better investor ready. Now, a lot of our work, especially this show, is supported by our listeners and fans like you. Remember, the Center is a 501c3 nonprofit. So just go to our website, cscf.space/support. Click that donate button and drop something in the tip jar. Thank you so much for all your help. Now, with us tonight, in lieu of our guest, who's usually here with us, he's coming in soon. Sitting with me is the producer of this program, Sean Key, who always has some great insights, and I'm glad to have his help tonight. Sean.
There he is, man. Tom? I'm ready for some good old tomfoolery, man.
Yeah, a little tomfoolery tonight. Right. And thanks for the kudo. Posted a great thing on LinkedIn this afternoon about this. I really appreciate that.
I think you guys at the Center do great work. I think it needs to be highlighted more, spoken about more. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of groups that are cheerleaders, but there's not that many groups that get out there and get in the ditches and help these people get out of the garage. And that's what you guys do. And I think we need to shout it to the rafters.
So. I'll tell you what, in 16 years, we've introduced 98 companies to the world, and over a third of them have gotten some awards or funding of some kind. And amongst one of our poster children is a little company called Spire. You may have heard of that.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if it's the Lord's work that you're doing, but you're doing a great job, my man.
Yep. And we want to do even more this year. I may have some announcements in a couple of months. I just had a great talk with one of my best space friends, Jenna Stone, out in Texas, and we're working on a proposal. And when that flies, I'm going to be here to tell everyone all about it. You'll hear it here first.
Right. Excellent.
Yep. Oh, okay. So we have some interesting folks who've already coming in. Veronica Ann from Arizona is with us. Hi there. Lady Rocket is with us. Eva Blaisdell from Copernic Space Investors and Community. So that's a rare thing, and love to have you. Welcome.
Jason's back.
There he is.
Yes.
There we go. Jason, welcome. Yeah, we're gonna have a fun night here. We're gonna have a very fun night. So we'll get through the news rather quickly so we can get to our guest.
I wonder who it could be.
Well, let's start with this one. There's a Scientific American article. Eric Schmidt, who you know from Google and an Alphabet company. He is announcing a plan for something called Lazuli. It is going to be the first private space telescope, and they hope to get it launched by the end of the decade. The Lazuli Space Observatory, yes. And it's going to be up to the level of the Hubble or or the James Webb or any of the other ones that are up there. A 3-meter mirror.
Right.
There'll be so I mentioned the hunt for extrasolar planets continues, obviously, with stuff like that. And who knows what other secrets of the universe this will uncover. So I'm kind of excited about that, and I can't wait to see something happen there.
Yeah, I mean, this might be back in the day when the barons had all their money, they would also invest in libraries and things that the society benefited from. Maybe this is the new age of that coming forward. Now that a lot of them are getting older and up there, and they want to put their money.
They want to do it. Yeah, I mean, these guys back in those days, those guys, they were all called robber barons, but a couple in particular gave practically all their money away at the end and endowed colleges and universities and libraries and monuments and all sorts of things to
and
just
society
enhance human civilization. And so
maybe this is what these guys are doing. They're all getting older. They're not getting any younger.
Yep.
I could feel the hand of time slapping me around. So what have I done? That's the reason why I've come to back in the space industry.
Or two for the same reason. I want the things we're doing. It's not so much me, being all about me. It's just like I want a legacy too. Whatever it is, guys like us, they're not going to build statues of Mars, but we can go to our great reward knowing that we got a bunch of companies started.
Yeah, that's my take.
They did wonderful things.
Yeah, I want to see the space industry be sustainable and not reliant so much on the government, and doing everything I can to help that.
And that's exactly what it's about. Absolutely. Morty's here. Hey, Morty.
Yep, space matters.
It does.
Yeah, Dr. David Lewison has a great quote about that. And it's basically, our prosperity is going to be through space.
Yeah. Lady Rocket says, good comments. Our mega investors seek legacy and recognition. My rockets as art sold to ultra wealthy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a market for everything in the new space economy. And
it's for everybody.
Everybody's trying to grab, whatever niche they can find and do well.
Find your passion, pursue your talent.
Absolutely. Morty's also right about his comment. Give back forward, pay forward. In other words, you don't, need to be a superstar to change the world. In fact, most of the people who change the world generally aren't.
Yeah,
considered superstars in their time. So I'm fine with that. I am absolutely fine with that. Next up, okay, Ars Technica came up with a list of the launches and landings that they were most excited about for this year. A lot could happen, but he said, well, let's get real about what actually will. Artemis 2 is going to happen. They're absolutely certain. That's their prediction. So the chance of Artemis 2 actually happening this year is basically Apollo 8 on steroids. They're going to take the SLS and Orion capsule and go around the moon for a while. But humans have not done that since 1972. So this is good to see. And they say the odds are 90%. Now, another thing they want to see, of course, next up, and this is certainly something that we've been talking about for this year, which is a Starship refueling demo. Now, when they put out their schedule, the first launch of Block 3, as we said, is late January. But then after that, the next 6 launches are going to be orbital launches, supposedly, hopefully. And during one or two of those 6 launches, they're going to start demoing, the refueling capability. So they want to get that done this year. But Ars Technica is saying the chance of a refueling demo happening in 2026 is only 50%. And I think they're saying that because cryogenic refueling at that scale has never been attempted in space before.
Okay.
But everybody goes broke betting against Elon Musk. So
yes, they do.
So I think his odds are a little higher than that, just because of who he is and how he does things.
Well, he might have been graded because of who he is.
Yeah, yeah. And so obviously they want to do a catch of Starship, which would be basically it's 100% reusable now, because the last flights they've done has always been, we caught a couple of the boosters, but we just splashed the upper stage in the middle of the Indian Ocean. They want to bring it back and catch that too. So that would be the full Monty. And they say 70% chance of that. The next one, Blue Moon Mark 1, 70% chance of that. And they're just finishing up the assembly right now, and they're going to ship it to Houston for environmental testing. Then it's going to go back to the Cape to fly on top of the New Glenn. And they want to launch that on a New Glenn sometime this year. Now they say, now there's a tie for fifth, Rocket Lab's Neutron debut and Stokes Nova rocket. So Rocket Lab held second place for a number of launches per year, and their new light class launcher, the Electron, surpassed a monthly launch cadence last year. The medium lift Neutron is the new thing, and it's supposed to open new markets for the company. It has a reusable first stage and an integrated payload fairing, and they can return to Earth in one piece. And it's going to be, that's the facility at Wallops that they're building out. The first flight of Stokes Nova is also going to happen. Maybe a 30% chance of that happening this year. The debut of China's number 7. There isn't a 6. There is no 6. China's goal of landing astronauts by the moon is 5 years away. They're going to launch something called the Mengzhu. It's the equivalent of the Orion or Apollo Command Module. And they're going to be the chance of a Long March 10A and a Mengzhu paired up launching this year is about 60%. China's still in the race, of course, for a reusable rocket. And a 60% chance of an orbital class rocket successfully make a landing. And of course, launch of Haven 1. VAST seems to have a head start in the race for a private commercial space station. There's about a 30% chance of them actually launching a module just for test purposes this year. And of course, NASA's Roman Space Telescope, the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope, will have a view of at least 100 times larger than the Hubble. And the primary science instrument will perform wide area surveys of the universe, covering 50 times more of the sky in 5 years than Hubble did in 30. And so, you expect with space telescopes there'd be, improvements after 30 years. So, and the chance of that launching this year is 80%. And of course, China's Chang'e 7, 80% chance of that. They want to. They're hoping to sit down at the moon's South Pole region and deploy a miniature flying probe to search for water ice in old drafts. They want to land on the rim of Shackleton Crater. And then the rise of Europe's commercial launchers. They're hoping they're saying a chance for a European launch startup reaching orbit in 2026 is only 20%. They did not mention Firefly's attempt to go to the lunar far side this year. That's interesting. They just left it at that. Oh, here we go. Here, Terran R's first flight, debut of Eclipse, IM-3 and Vestry. Oh, there it is. That's what I was looking for. It's down on number 16, though. Blue Ghost Mission 2. But they say the chances are only 10% of them actually flying it this year. Interesting.
I'd like to know how they're basing their metrics of percentages.
Yep. And there's a lot more that are way down on the list. Although number 20 is Japan Martian Moons Exploration Mission. Chance of that launching is actually 80%. So interesting list for them, for all the stuff they're looking forward to. My list would be ranked a little bit differently, but it's about the same. So next up, I thought this was interesting. It says private equity deal shows just how far America's legacy rocket industry has fallen. And they're talking about a deal that Rocketdyne made, I guess. And now, half a century ago, Rocketdyne manufactured almost all of the large liquid-fueled rocket engines in the United States, including the Saturn V and the shuttle, Atlas, Thor, and Delta. After the Cold War, Rocketdyne's dominance began to erode and became a part of Rockwell until Boeing acquired Rockwell's aerospace division. Rocketdyne continued to do stuff, and then it's just a steep decline. Boeing sold the Rocketdyne division to Pratt & Whitney in 2005. That was the year before SpaceX launched its first rocket, and a few years before NASA wound down the shuttle program. And so while they were going on a downward spiral, all their competitors pushed forward. So now everything's kind of reversed. Even their primary Rocketdyne's primary customer in the show program was United Launch Alliance. Now Aerojet purchased Rocketdyne to form Aerojet Rocketdyne. L3Harris just closed they acquired both Aerojet Rocketdyne in 2023, and now they have a space propulsion power systems business unit. But then, excuse me, L3Harris announced that now they're selling a 60% stake in that business to a industrial partners. They want to do other things. So it's a birthplace of U.S. rocket propulsion. They only do liquid fuel rockets, including SLS, the work that they did there. But the whole point of the article is basically saying, the whole old space network is basically just breaking down, and and the torch is really being handed over to the new guys.
Well, that's kind of the way industries go. I mean, they go in evolutions. If you're too big or cumbersome, a lot of it has to do because you over leverage your debt. Then the new guys have a chance to come in. They have a new, fresh look. They have new, not heavy books, and they can be more nimble.
Yep. Well, interesting you say that, because I worked in IT for 31 years, and I keep waiting for Microsoft to die, for many of the same reasons. And I think what it is that
it's a petrified force at Microsoft. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The thing is, Microsoft is going to die, but only when all the boomers and half the Gen X die off.
Yeah.
Because they're the only ones using Microsoft products anymore. I mean, the kids today, they're all on handhelds. Microsoft does not have an entry in that.
No, and that's pretty much what's going to happen. A lot of think about some of the industry that will go. Look what happened with television. Whenever everything moved online. The only reason why television is relevant right now is because of the older generation. Yep. So once they die off, television is pretty much doomed. It's just going to be all online.
Yep. Oh, who just said that? Where is she? Oh, yeah, Veronica said, well, as long as they have replacements before they halt operations of any project.
Yeah.
She would know.
Yeah.
having put a lot of science payloads onto space shuttles in her career, she would know about that problem.
What do you mean I need this?
Yeah.
We just
shut replacement.
Yeah.
What?
You gotta be kidding me.
Yep.
All right. We got just a couple more minutes before we bring this mystery guest on.
Yeah, the mystery guest. Right. Okay. Well, what else we got? And that is a slow news day today. There's some European launch companies to watch in 2025. I'm not going to go into great detail about them because you can post the link and they can go look this up. It's they're kind of interesting because there's stuff I haven't heard of.
Well, I wanted them to get more than 6 launches.
Yeah. I mean, Ariane Group, I've heard of that one. Yeah, duh. But Avio, I really don't know them very much. They have a Vega C rocket after being grounded after 2 years for equipment failure in 22. Izar Aerospace, I guess there's been many years of anticipation for that. and they're supposed to be the first Euro launch provider to conduct a launch of privately developed European rockets capable of reaching orbit. Hey, well, that'd be good for them to have. Bayern Chemie Moraba, I guess that's a hybrid. Moraba is from DLR, whom I know of, but they're doing some Red Kite booster with these other group. T-Minus Engineering, they're a new player based out of the Netherlands.
Right.
Space Forest is a new company built out of Poland. They've had a couple of failures of launches, but they keep going back to the drawing board. PLD Space, they finally appear to be close. They're close to an inaugural flight of their rocket, and they're going to be launching out of Guyana. Maya Space, Skyrora. Now, Skyrora is actually one of our poster kids. Skyrora won a New Space BPC in 2018 or 19. And so they're still at it. So good for them. A company called Latitude. They have a 2-stage Zephyr rocket. They were surprisingly short on hardware milestones in 2025, but hopefully this year will be the year. High Impulse is another one. And then there's some honorable mentions like Orbex, Rocket Factory, Augsburg, Hyperspace, and B2 Space. And so they are really working hard to develop an independent capacity, which is the point of this article. And again, the last thing I have, we can just put a link up for that really quick.
Yep.
This is an article in the Space Review about Jared Isaacman's term as NASA administrator and what he might hope to accomplish. But the gist of it is we've had this notion that goes back to the end of the 90s, the Dan Golden era of faster, better, cheaper. And that was always had become kind of a chimera. And we never quite reached its stated goals, even after all this time, to get things done in a good, a successful and quick fashion. And so they're hoping, they've come up with 3 new words to describe what I think Isaacman wants to do, which is innovative, affordable, and expedited. What do you think?
They're not catchy, but but they do. I mean, they do label what you want to achieve, but there's no ringing to it. They're just not catchy.
But if you succeed where others have failed with catchy words,
it doesn't matter if it's catchy.
Yeah,
as long as it works.
As long as it works. And that's all I got to say about that. Really, it's a great article. I don't want to go into it because we're at 8:23.
Yeah,
and we want to move on to the good shit.
Yeah.
So
the ninja gas. That's Jason Gall.
The ninja gas. That's what we're bringing in.
Yeah.
My old co-host and good space friend for over 20 years, Michael Laine, President and CEO of LiftPort, has some major announcements he wants to make, and we're going to talk about all things space elevator. He says he's going to try to convince me to join the cult. And so
Kool-Aid ready, buddy.
Well, we'll see. We'll just see about that. Michael, come on in, man.
Hey,
how you doing, man?
How's things?
Okay.
It's a little strange being on this side of the microphone, so to speak, right?
Yeah, well, there's a whole lot. Even though we've been on here a long time, we've talked about crap tons of stuff. We've done this is like our 68th show or something now.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And they're all on the website now, all on the center's website now. We have a whole podcast section, and they're all there in order. And it looks great. And you can actually watch them from there too. You can just click on it and go. So Amruta, my web developer.
To Michael real quick is that I'm sorry I demoted you to being the CEO of LiftPort, not the president of LiftPort.
It's fine. It's funny. I actually have I've reserved the CEO role and the COO role for somebody smarter and more experienced than me. I've always taken the president and chief strategic officer roles, waiting for the right person to join at the very top of the
chief cook and bottle washer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we've never really talked about my project on this show. Like, I'll put it into little snippets here and there, and
Right.
when Morty is on, I'll do a little bit of compare contrast between the Earth elevator and the Lunar elevator. But I tend to kind of stay in the background because that's not my role. So it's that's funny. Hey, by the way, Jason, you gave us a heck of a shout out at the end of our season last year at the wrap up, and that was just really cool. So it was really nice to see that. We actually captured it as a screen capture because I'm like, that's a quote worth having. So thanks, appreciate your ongoing support, for real.
And so let's do what we do traditionally, Michael. I want you to start with your origin story. I know you have a hell of a one because I lived through a lot of it myself. So I'll be interesting to hear this. I mean, your spin, your rendition of what history really was.
Listen,
before we get to where we are today.
Yeah. Michael has been doing this back when Jesus was a corporal.
Oh, for sure. All right, so I'm gonna try and do 25 years in 3 minutes. So I'm leaving a bunch of stuff out. Before I got into space, I was in the Marine Corps, which is why Sean mentions a corporal. I was a corporal. I got into investment management at a very early age. Unexpectedly, one of my captains actually taught me investment management, which was a pretty wild jump for me as a jarhead. Did investment management for several years, went out to Boston University for a while, got caught up in the earliest days of the internet. I remember you, Veronica. Thanks for that comment. I love it. I got caught up in the early days of the internet and started an internet company back when they actually called them internet companies. So that was a long time ago, 1995 till 2001. Did a bunch of real estate investing. And around my early 30s, the internet, my phase of the internet was closing down. I'm like, I don't know what to do next. I want to do space. And so that's where things got interesting. 2001, 2, and 3, worked with Dr. Brad Edwards on the NASA Institute for Advanced Concepts Research team on the Earth elevator. We had a pretty vocal disagreement, and so we stopped working together. And that's when I created LiftPort. So 2001, 2, and 3, the first version of LiftPort. There we had a pretty good sized team. At one point, we were up to 14 people. We initially worked on carbon nanotube technology, nanotech. That was a giant rabbit hole, and we poured a lot of money down that hole and got nowhere out of it. But then we switched gears to focus on the mechanical processes of climbing. So we built high altitude balloons tethered to the ground with robots climbing back and forth. And we did some pretty cool stuff there. We got as high as a mile. We had endurance tests that were 60 days. Things were looking pretty good. We had some potential contracts with the DoD. And this is a well-known story. I bet my mortgage on the project and I lost, right? Yeah. That's a pretty well-known story for the folks that don't know. I went from $1.7 million net worth to negative $600,000 in 24 hours. So it was a really bad day. And that kind of took me in a completely different trajectory. I went off to International Space University for a while. That was really fun. And 2008, 9, 10, I was kind of rudderless. I worked on a space-based solar power company for a while. That was definitely a mistake. Not the technology, but the people. And around 2010, 11, 12, I'm rethinking this elevator, and I realized that we can build an elevator on the moon now with current technology. This is all the way back in 2010, so 15 years have gone by with me thinking about this lunar elevator. We ran a on the surface successful but peek under the hood unsuccessful Kickstarter in 2012. And what I mean by that was we asked for $8,000, we got $110,000, and I seriously think of it as the worst error in my career. So that Kickstarter was a mess, and I own it. I totally own that error.
Well, I can sure use an error like that, but yeah, I can sure use an error like that right about now.
Yeah,
center. So hey,
right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so kind of bumped along. I called it the zombie days from about 2014 to 2017, 18. But in 2018, we were totally quiet about what we're doing, completely quiet. And making real progress, writing reports, doing checks, doing validation, trying to understand what this thing was, and understanding that things were changing. So we thought we were making real progress. We had some pretty good support from some very influential people. And then 2020 happened and the world caught on fire, and all of our momentum just evaporated basically overnight.
Okay, can I hold you there for just a second? I have a question.
Yeah,
Who is we?
We. All right. So there's always been like this small community, the small cadre of people that has propped me up, right? During the bad days, during the spooky days, during the zombie days. There were times, and I was going to say this, about a year and a half ago, I was about ready to quit. And it was these other people. Shout out to Charles Radley and Marshall Eubanks. They kept me going for a while. Sean's been around off and on for 20 years. There's been a lot of people, and I call them my technical advisor council. Like, we're formalizing it now. But there's seriously hundreds of people that have tried supporting this project over all of its incarnations. Sometimes we're 2 or 3 people trying to keep the lights on. We're at 4 now. Sometimes it's 8 or 10 people. We've never gotten past that 14 where we were back in the first version of LiftPort. And it's almost always been unfunded or certainly underfunded. So most of the folks are volunteers. There's been a select few that have gotten paychecks, but they're few and far between. Yeah. So that's us. And so all of that was going through up until 2020. We went back into kind of a zombie state. Leah was super helpful during kind of 2022, 3, 4. I have had lots of interns. God knows I've had more than 50 interns. So those folks have really propped this project up. They've kept this thing alive when they wanted to die. So, hats off to a lot of people along the way. A lot of people.
Yeah. I remember when the Renaissance kind of started, because you got a hold of me in into 2020, early 21.
Yeah.
When you got together for the Foundation for the Future.
Yeah.
And you were starting to do video projects and stuff. Yeah. And that's when I got together with them, and we ended up. And that's how we all pulled out of it. The center was seeing a dark moment at that same time, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Because of all sorts of foul things that happened. and we had to dig out from under. And he came in, look, I found these guys, they want to do virtual business plan competitions and willing to pay.
Yeah.
And so we contracted to do 3 of those. And by winter of 22, we gotten all 3 of them done.
Yeah.
And then things are starting to move back to live shows again. And so in 22, we went from that winter, online thing back to a real one for real money at IAC in Paris.
Yeah.
At the end of 22. That was a great time. And that's what put us back on the comeback trail. So our paths were really
entwined.
Yeah. Well, we just lost them. They'll be back in a minute, folks.
Well, we have to say our paths have been entwined for years. Yeah.
So what was it? What specifically? What was there a specific moment when you decided, hey, I need to get back in? Was there something that specifically happened, or was there just a general feeling? You know what? I got to really do this.
Yeah, I mean, cards on the table here. I'm 58. Last year was the year before, 2024 was a really hard year for me, and I sincerely thought I was going to quit, and because I couldn't push this rock uphill anymore. I just didn't have it in me. I briefly mentioned the financial costs, but then also the psychological, the emotional, the family. I couldn't go any further. And what I decided to do, this is at the kind of summer into fall of 2024, what I decided to do was just get a bunch of folks together, the we that I just described a second ago, get a bunch of folks together and host a workshop, come up with a new clean sheet design for the elevator, and just release it to the world and be done. Like that's my exit bow, right? That's what I was going to do.
Okay. So let's get there. Let's get to that fast forward now to the end of 2025. You got announcements to make. I know there's stuff you want to talk about, dude. Let's get to it.
Well, that's the thing, right? Everybody that I talked to 8 people directly, and they all said, don't quit. It's time to build this thing. And so that's what I did over all of 2025, was starting to build a clean sheet redesign of the Lunar elevator, because our old version was 2010. Our baseline, our base architecture was a 15-year-old document. It was wrong. Like every paragraph, every sentence was wrong at some level.
That's still a holdover from the 20th century, that stuff.
Yeah. And so what's different, right? So, launch costs have come down ridiculously. Like they're a completely different level now. The digital tools that are available now are completely different. We can do so much more than we ever have before on way less money. So that's really important. There's a moon focus of the world. The whole world is aiming back to the moon. And the commercial capabilities, right? The stuff that you and I have been dreaming about for years. There's 7 or 10 space tug companies. There's 6 or 10 space station companies. There's 7 to 12 ISAM, in-space assembly and manufacture and downmass companies. So stuff that we were going to have to build originally is now commercially available. So our original price tag 15 years ago was $800 million. And you would think that with inflation, it would go up and up and up back to a billion. But in fact, because of all these things, our prices dropped and dropped and dropped. Instead of 800 million, it's probably in the 350 million range. So the announcement is really not so much one thing. It's a lot of little things that add up to we're a viable company and trying to build now, which all this time since 2007, we haven't been in that position. We haven't been able to do anything. But now it's time. It's different now.
Well, it reminds me of the words of Robert Heinlein. He used to say that, you looked at things from a historical perspective, of course, and he would say that we couldn't go railroading until we were ready to go railroading. There's a lot of different pieces of the puzzle that you have to put together before it works, from steam engines to the kind of metal that you can make a boiler out of that won't explode, braking systems and attaching systems and all sorts of things that you have to do, making the rails and putting them out there, and all the things you need to do to make railroads work. And if you don't have any one of those, you don't have a railroad.
You got nothing. You got nothing.
And you're kind of doing the same thing. You find the pieces are coming into place.
They are.
I think
so basically your announcement is you're launching this new project and you're pushing to get it going. So what's the first milestone?
Well, but it's also
with the word 1,000 in it. But go ahead, you tell me.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's we're restarting the project, but with our kind of traditional audacity.
It's not a doomsday clock.
We not a doomsday clock, but a countdown clock. We're building out our new website, and we're putting a countdown clock on this thing, starting from today, 1,000 days from now, we're going to have a functional lunar elevator in 1,000 days. And that seems crazy. I pushed back on it on my own team. I'm like, I pushed back on it. I'm like, this had, check your math. Is this real? And yeah, it takes a lot of money, and the money has to come in on time. But the engineering is doable, and by World Space Week, by the 71st anniversary of Sputnik, with the official start of the space age, we're going to have an elevator on the moon. Now, this sounds kind of crazy. I know it does, but we tried to see if we could get it by July 20th. So it would be the anniversary of landing on the moon. We really, really tried to see if we could get our math to work there. Turns out it's too tight. The timeline's just a little too tight to get us in by July. But by October, we definitely can. And we're going to try for July. We are. We're going to try for a July 20th, 2028 deadline.
Okay.
But yeah, 1,000 days starting now gets us right to October 4th, 2028. So it's throwing down the gauntlet. It's exciting.
It certainly has a way of focusing the mind.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
That or your own execution. This has a way of focusing the mind.
Right.
Considerably.
It gives you clarity.
Yeah.
Gives you clarity about what the end picture is supposed to look like and when it's supposed to be there.
Right. Right.
Okay. Of course, what I'm going to say.
You've got my
say next. The next big question is: show me the money.
Show me the
not
money.
Just raising the funds, but how does it generate revenue? What's the business model?
So there's a couple pieces to that. Marty, the countdown's begun. Yes. Veronica, send me your stuff. I know I've connected with you on LinkedIn, but send me a message and I'll talk to you about that. We are putting a team together. There are ways of getting a paycheck, right? That's a surprise to everybody. Because there hasn't been for all this time. So where's the money coming from? I'm in negotiations for about $300,000 in the earliest of seed money. I actually, full disclosure, I thought I was going to get it months ago, and now it looks like it's March. So
that's how that feels.
Yeah, so, I know you do. You do. Okay. All right. Well, Veronica, I'll put my contact information in here just a second. I've had this address for 20 years now. There you go.
Spam.
So, what's that? Spam. I get a lot of spam. I really, really do. So we have We've got some venture funds. One's an angel and one's a VC. We have $1 million commitment. $1 million commitment, but they won't be the first million. They will be our. So our first level, phase 1 is $5 million. They will be, once we've raised the first 4, they will be the 5th. They will close out. So we have,
I know that goes. Yeah.
So we've got a commitment for that.
So you just need 70 more deals like that, and you're done.
Yeah, right. Exactly, right. It's that easy, apparently. We have 2 paths that we're going. There's a government-focused path, and there's a private investor path, both of which are viable. The government one is pretty interesting. It's obviously politically motivated.
Sure.
I made a joke today. Everybody who knows me knows my blue-sided politics, but I made a joke today that I would call it the golden elevator if that's what it took to get funded.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, I was just going to say. Offer for a cheap price to put AI data centers on the moon.
Sure. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely going to do
There's
that.
$1.5 trillion going into that. You ought to be able to tap into some of that shit.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll get it.
Right. So there's a government component and there's also a private component. And I have a lot of confidence in the private component. There's a lot of folks headed to the moon. And so what we decided to do, and this is how we're generating revenues, is we're creating a chamber of commerce for the moon. So banding together those privately funded companies that are all aiming to orbit the orbital economy and to the lunar economy. And by putting that together, putting these, credentialed, well-respected organizations in the same room together, in the same digital room together, sharing data, that surprisingly is going to generate capital for us, revenues for us.
Okay, if that works. I just have an interesting question though, because
Sure,
we just had Hoyt Davidson on the show.
Yep.
And his buddy who were talking about a similar type of thing, and so it seemed to me you could save some time by working with them. Is that not practical?
No, it is. It definitely is, and I've sent some messages to them. Fortunately, we're doing things that are compatible but different. So we actually are going to help each other. I've signed my letter of intent with them. So no, they're definitely allies. I think that they're allies.
Yeah. They have more of a port authority model than just a chamber of commerce.
Yeah. To the point where he said, look, if the day comes when we are going to be contracting to build an elevator, we'll go to you, right? That's directly what Castle Miller said to me. So, no, I think that I think that we've got a deep bench of talent. We've got all the tools. We don't have enough money yet. I'm anticipating that a couple $100,000 in revenue, as well as a couple $100,000 in initial capital. Okay. But we're not going to try to start raising money until March.
Okay.
I want to put some foundation below us between now and then. So our target is to have 50 organizations within this this network that I just described. 50 is there. And so that gives us a foundation of revenues. And then also formalizing the relationship with our technical advisory council, like putting contracts in place and getting those folks on board. And with those 2 things and one more I haven't described, with those 2 things and one more, we should be in a really good spot to start raising capital. And we'll initially start raising for $5 million.
Okay. So you say you got some revenue coming in. Where's that coming from? What's the revenue model in general for the whole thing?
It's for the elevator itself, it's a variety of things.
Okay.
In the immediate side with the Chamber of Commerce, it's really just a subscription model. But what we're looking at in the future is we've identified 4 major client types: academic, civil, defense, and commercial, and 7 nodes along the length of the elevator. You've got the anchor station and the space station on the moon. That's 2. The elevator and the ribbon is 3 and 4. The truss and the space station at L1 is 5 and 6, and then the counterweight at 7. Mm-hmm. So though that matrix of clients and points, there's a lot of things we can sell there. There's a lot of things we can sell there. We're going to sell transportation. Okay. We're going to have, data centers. Data centers were not even in our conversation 2 months ago, right? They weren't, but we'll definitely have them. Veronica, probably data centers are both in all 3 locations: at the base of the moon, at Science Midday, at L1, and a limited amount at the counterweight. Those are all 3 good places for and then we're going to have product that climbs back and forth, up and down. What's crazy is on our math, we're looking at 7 trips a month, 2 tons per trip, 12 times a month, almost 170 tons. I don't know that there's enough cargo for the moon. 170 tons? I don't think currently that anybody is considering that much tonnage to the lunar surface right now.
Well, I guess they better start thinking about it.
Right.
Like older people having a personal life. You better start thinking about it.
You better start.
If you're young and you haven't thought about that, well, you better start thinking about it.
I don't think that people have figured out that the L1 point is the key to the solar system, right? The elevator, the more we looked at this thing, the more the elevator was interesting, but it kind of started to fade into the background. Mm-hmm. And the thing that was really interesting was that Lagrange point station. Right. What we now refer to as LiftPort Station, the Lagrange point station, may actually be the key to the whole solar system.
Mm-hmm. I imagine so, but more than Gateway.
Way more than
Gateway. Good luck EU. See ya. Well, here's the thing. Actually, this is just I like the economics of it, but the practical reality. So you're at L1, I guess. How long is this thing? And how long will it take to move tonnage from the one point to the other?
Yeah. So the part that matters is it's about 50,000 kilometers from L point down to the lunar surface, down to Science Midday. We're not going down to the poles. That's kind of like level number 2 or 3 down the road. We're not doing that right away. We can, but we're not doing it first. So you're just going back and forth from Science Midday at the equator out to the Lagrange, and that's about 50,000 kilometers. And depending on how fast you go, just give yourself a week. Give yourself a week to make that transit. So it's a slow process. You're going to be traveling in a space-styled Winnebago, climbing up and down on the ribbon. The string itself is way longer than that. It has to be far enough into Earth's gravity well so that it stays stable. And so it's a question mark of, how big is your countermass? So here's the Earth. How big is your countermass? And how long is the string? Those are ratios. So we tend to think in terms of 250,000 kilometers or so. So 2/3 the distance from the Earth to the moon.
Okay.
But it's long, but it's very doable. The math is solid. The materials are there. That's a point to make, to really hammer home. The materials are there. We don't have to invent anything. We don't have to create anything. They're all industrial level materials. We have a supplier in mind. We have we're not quite through the down select process, but we're honing in on a supplier. We're a large order, but we're only about 10% of their annual production. So they definitely have capacity for us.
Well, here's the thing. It just occurred to me. If you want to get something out of the Golden Dome people,
Yeah.
you know, versus sending a guy like me over there, because I'm a red guy and I know how to talk to them.
I have friends
for
that
a
are
small
red,
nominal fee,
right?
I'd be
Yeah,
happy to do that for you and take the
Sure,
lead
happy
on that.
to.
But the
Yeah.
second, because it's an easy sell,
Yeah,
I'll get Autry to help me. It'll be easy,
right.
which is this is the way to beat China
Exactly.
forever.
I've been
Exactly.
saying that.
Forever.
I've
Once
been
it's off
saying
and
that.
running, everybody in the world will be looking at China going, "Oh, you still use rockets?"
You still use rocket? In fact, we actually have a document that is titled a China blocking strategy. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Good.
So we're happy to have you as our liaison. Autry has known about this for 10 years.
He wrote a book on it.
I was quite glad today to hear that he had dropped out of the running for the chief financial officer, because he hasn't been allowed, by his own standards, he hasn't been allowed to be a part of this project. But as soon as he's out of that, I'm hoping he joins our project. Yep. I do.
Right.
I genuinely hope he joins our project.
We could talk about this for another 30 minutes if we had to, but you know what, Michael? We're getting to the end.
Yeah.
As you know, when we do these shows, and since you're our inaugural, you're fine. The host is finally becoming the guest. So I want to hear it, man. What is your view of what the world looks like in 5 years and in 25 years?
Well, certainly there's an elevator on the moon in 5 years, hopefully less than that. We expand from a single seed ribbon to a larger capacity system. We go from 150 tons capacity to maybe 600 tons a year capacity. So, and that, I think, changes everything. Fast forward into 25 years from now, you and I have seen the changes of 25 years. It is hard to predict what 25 years will look like, but I am sure it will have a vast, thriving lunar economy, anchored by the elevator, anchored by that transshipment hub at L1, moving back and forth to Mars, we'll have a cycler at Mars. So I think SpaceX needs our elevator to fulfill their Martian missions.
Absolutely.
Going back and forth to the asteroids is going to be effortless, and down mass back to Earth, I think that's going to change the lives of everybody from the biotech.
And that's a whole nother new business line that needs to be built. So the guys who are doing it are going to have to learn to upscale their operation by a factor of 10. Just size, to get the down mass down. It's going to be that big. Unfortunately, for me to make it another 25 years, I'm going to have to do more investing in biotech than in space elevators. But you know what? After that, hey, we'll see.
A little bit of Methuselah research there, longevity research.
Yep. I like what Jason says.
That's where I got to go. Unfortunately, it's just like I'm doing my best, but
Jason's got a comment about an unrecognizable future. That's exactly where I'm at.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. I took a seminar in sci-fi writing from Werner Vigne, of all people.
Wow.
And he told me that basically, in the mind of a sci-fi writer, the near future is 5 to 10 years, and the far future is 25. After that, nothing. It's anybody's guess. It could be anything.
And so, that's funny because I said that about futurists.
Yep. Absolutely. Michael Laine, Renaissance Man, you're doing it again. You're launching your elevator project 1,000 days from today.
Take a look
to see it.
Take a look at LiftPort.com. As soon as it is propagated, it will be live with a new website. So the current one is the wrong one. The current one's been there for, 4 years or 5 years. But the new one has the countdown clock on it. So by the time it propagates, that's the countdown happening.
Downtown Hampton. Well, obviously we're rooting for you all the way. So, thanks for doing that and being and doing what you do. And we'll be talking about this a lot more in the future. Michael Laine, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
See ya on Monday. In your usual same bad time and same bad channel. On Monday, our guest is space lawyer extraordinaire Kamisha Simmons, and she's going to give us a bunch of updates on. Hopefully, we're going to ask her how she can make it all the legalities happen so Michael can build his lunar elevator without a lot of hassle. And I'm hoping to get that out of her on Monday. But for Michael, for Sean Key, for the news desk at the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, I've been Thomas Andrew Olson. Keep watching the skies.
I'll be bat channel, you be bat time.